Hare Krishna, good morning. My name is Jvalamukhi Dasi with the J Files, continuing my video blog of my journal, my hoo-hoo, and the destiny of the universe, the Golden Age, the Great Sinister Movement, and the Firewalk of a Hare Krishna Kid. This next entry is from 4/6/2012. And before I go straight into it, just wanted to meditate on something a little positive. Sometimes it's easy to get lost in all of the hell that is coming out of the process of self-realization, especially coming out of surviving satanic ritual abuse. So there is a story in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the history of the universe, about the churning of the milk ocean, where there's a cooperation between the very powerful demigods and demons for the purpose of extracting amrita, or the nectar of immortality. So in the process of churning the ocean, which you can read about in Srimad Bhagavatam, the first thing that is produced is a very powerful poison called hala poison. And it's such an analogy for the process of self-realization, whereas we are trying to find immortality, the eternal relationship with ourselves and the Lord, and go back home, back to Godhead. And in the process of that relationship, we have to lay down all of the things that we have accumulated here in the material world, the anarthas, or unwanted things in the heart. So that churning process, there's our own internal gods and demons pulling in the heart, the battlefield of the heart. The first thing that comes out is the unwanted things, and those are the anarthas, the unwanted things. And so my journal is full of unwanted things coming out first, and it can be sometimes feels to me sometimes I'm boring my audience with one more vomitacious, hellish scene. But again, I am healing from satanic ritual abuse, the darkest of evil that is. So it's not going to be a walk in the park or sunshine and roses, but we are reaching for the highest love of Godhead, and that is the most worthy battle to be fought. So I encourage all of you who are fighting your own battles to not be afraid of the painful emotions, the hard things that come out, and to stick with it, because right juxtaposed to the hellishness and the hard emotions is also an ever expanding ocean of bliss. So simultaneously, the taste for hearing and chanting about the Lord, which is the nectar for which we are always anxious, that taste for hearing and chanting increases more and more, and that relationship between yourself and the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes more and more revealed, with that willingness to face the poisonous things that are coming out of our bodies. And of course, if they're in there, they're making us sick. So we have to, regardless. So this entry starts off straight with more hell. And I I encourage you listeners to continue to hold out for the bliss on the other end. As my teacher Mahaprabhu says, there are no words for the pain, and even less words for the joy on the other side. So that is where we are headed. Joy on the other side. Fresh from the processing trenches, anger, impatience, horror, and grief, vomiting maggots, want to put my heart to the earth and pour it out. These are the emotions that are pushing up the last 2 days. Earlier today, I recognized the emotional surges for what they are, flashbacks, and just sat and let the child tell me. Let the child inside feel and cry, no questions asked. The stuff that came out was about the murder of my little friend. I saw the other adults entering the pool area at the Detroit Temple when they used to have a pool there. And a relative had made me push her dead body into the water and said that I had killed her, and that if I told, I would have to say that I killed her. I fell asleep after that for a few hours while I prayed to Lord Nrsingadev to protect my children as they played outside, more or less on their own. This evening, the upsurge of emotion continued after cleaning off my desk and reading a few pages of my Safe Passage healing book. It's funny. When I feel the emotions, they are all consuming, and now, as I write this, I am far removed, a distant observer only. I think that is what is called disassociation. Anyway, more of the same vomiting maggots feeling, destroying myself and others' voices, deep grief and horror. I did get more information though. The adults that entered the pool area with the fence around it were Beast, Ursula, less intelligent woman, and 2 more circumstantially influenced players. There may have been others. It seems clear that they were all involved in Beast's group somehow. This was a damage control to get together. My relative acted without sanction when he murdered her. It was justified to the murdered girl's parents somehow. I don't know exactly how to express this in words, but there are people right now in this world, all over the world, so deeply in the grip of Kali Yuga, aka Satan Yuga, that they sell their own children into horrible, horrible sexual abuse. They trade their children for some perceived benefit from the group that they're in. They have no feeling for the relationship between parent and child, or if they do, it's not enough to transcend their own trauma, their own disassociation, their own pain, where they cannot be available to their own children. And multi-generational satanic ritual abuse, it's pretty much everyone who's God, I was driving in Gainesville some years ago, and I saw a mother and father and a little girl walking up the stairs to the Masonic Lodge there. And as much as I wanted to slam on the brakes and go grab that little girl out of their grasp, I knew there was nothing I could do about it, because how much do they know? What level of initiation are they on? Don't they understand? Or maybe they're part of it. This happens all over the world every single day in every town and village. The Masonic lodges, the mosques, the churches, the community centers, the foster care system, you name it. There are man-eating demons waiting to prey upon your children. The shows that they watch, from Disney to Nickelodeon to Netflix to whatever it is, all the influences are infiltrated by this practice of rape and murder in the name of some higher something or other. And even though this passage seems really brutal, it's a common everyday affair around the world, and it gets covered up. So the way these ritual groups work is that they have a hierarchy, and all roads lead back to the Vatican, to Israel, to Britain, Buckingham Palace, Antarctica, the caves and tunnels underneath our country connecting the whole world. And what is it all about? The trafficking and devouring of children. It's the religion of the man-eaters, and the human beings get caught up in it. They're using us just like we people use animals. And to turn it around, we have to first recognize what it is. It's here, it's real. We can't just keep our heads in the sand and wait for something to get better. We have to recognize that this goes on all over the world. And they look just like we do. There's no telling, the person who's getting the Citizen of the Year award. they're participating in these things, many of them. The higher up you go, the more shoulders you rub with the so-called elite. This is their religion. And you see that the bankers, the politicians, the so-called superstars, they're all puppets. For whom? Ultimately for Kali, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. And so when you, in my heart, I was, where is justice? When will the truth be known and all of that? I don't think there is justice in this material world. I think the justice is that we wake up and leave. Because ultimately, every little thing that happens is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Controller. He owns everything, and he's our best friend. So as horrible as this whole thing sounds, I don't know the backstory of that little girl who got murdered, who was my friend. I don't know the backstory of the parents who lost their daughter and who were being coerced into accepting this. I don't know anyone's background, and I didn't even know my own background until over the years, gradually, Krishna pulled back the curtain and allowed me to see certain events in previous lifetimes that this all made sense karmically. But the conclusion of it is, wake up, clean up, leave. That's what this material world is. It's one big stinky toilet. You do your business and get out. What is our business? Our business is letting go of our envious mentality, our forgetfulness of our well-wisher, the Supreme Lord, thinking that anyone else is our enemy here in this world. Nobody's our enemy. They're all working out their own conversations with God, and we happen to be in the way. And there's no correcting it other than to wake up. When you're having a nightmare, there's no sorting it out. Just wake up and go home. And if Krishna wants to enact some kind of justice or truth in this material world, that's up to him. But we cannot hold out for that, because that's not the nature of this place. It took me a really long time to come to that one. Oh man, did it take me a long time. I was all for it. Good on. So here we are, 4/12/12. I just came home from the temple this morning. My son and nephew were playing in the temple yard. I sat on a bench with my hand in my bead bag. My condition of grief and feeling to vomit did not allow much chanting. I got up to get the boys some water and fell to my knees. This is real trauma, and I am affected quite physically. I'm bleeding again, and it's not my cycle time. All I could think about was and is how to dig a hole in the earth and press my chest, my heart to the earth, and somehow transfer the turmoil and pain out of my heart and into the earth. I prayed to the deities to know what to do to feel relief. I guess I have to feel, and in this way, I know that what happened is real. The broken relationships are real. I suppose this is how healing happens. First I feel, and then I heal, as opposed to disassociate, deny, and try to be normal. Ding, ding. Oh my gosh, there are so many things I could say about that particular statement. I don't know if I should go into it. Should I go in? So when you don't heal, when you don't decide to look at your feelings, I mean, ultimately, what are feelings? Feelings are expressions of the self of, I mean, what are we? We're parts and parcels of God, and the ultimate experience that even the Lord himself longs for is love, right? He's loving himself. All us little jivatmas, these little souls, we're all parts and parcels of God. And why do we even exist? We exist because the Lord has unlimited love to share with unlimited parts and parcels. And so we exist to exchange loving sentiments. And this material world is a perverted reflection of the eternal reality. And so when we come to this place of birth and death, this temporary meat suit is awarded to us according to our desires. As soon as you desire something, you're already creating your next body. And the process of self-realization and the process of healing are synonymous. You cannot remain sick, either physically it's just you can't change, it's the nature of this place, but emotionally we have to become healthy because we're going to transfer ourselves to a new body after death. Human life means to prepare for the next body, and we have to choose love. And if we can't love ourselves, we can't accept what is, what was. That whole package is a specifically designed program for your particular condition, so that you can extricate yourselves from the cycle of birth and death. So we have to be able to accept what is reality, and denying that reality means that you're not ready, you're not willing to pay the price of truth so that you can actually go home back to Godhead. If you want to stay here in illusion and lie to yourself, then you're in good company, because that's what 99.9% of the population do. They are on the bodily platform, identifying with not only the physical body, but with the emotional body and with the events that happened here, like a person very, very invested in a dream. And right now, because the reigning religion of the day, Satanism, is so prominent in this age of Kali, big surprise there, the narrative is that you don't need to heal, you don't need to change yourself, you don't need to evolve, you are perfect the way you are. And that's true and not true. As the soul, we are always perfect. We are part and parcel of the Supreme Perfect, but our condition is far, far from perfect. So that evil agenda to dissuade human beings from the goal of human life, which is self-realization, is evil. And it plays itself out in so many forms of misidentification with the body and denial. Denial, denial, denial. I get very upset about the evil agenda that is being pushed on innocent people. Innocent people are hurt and brutalized in this world. Innocent, I mean, of course, everybody here is a card-carrying member of this prison house. But Srila Prabhupada would speak about how society is misled, misguided. And because people in general are misguided, they're committing so many sinful activities, which will result in more incarceration in this material world with no guarantee of human life. Human life means tapasya, austerity for the sake of self-realization. And the narrative of Kali's disciples, the devil's disciples, is that no self-realization needed. Statement of fact: I am God, you are God, you're okay, I'm okay, I don't have to change my ways, I will just, I'm lovable just the way I am, I'm a good person, don't question what I do, I won't criticize you, you don't criticize me, and then we'll all just be happy, 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 right? This is honesty among criminals and thieves. The honest person comes in and says, hey, you guys are committing crimes. You're never going to be able to integrate with a law-abiding society. You're going to have to stay in this prison house. Don't you want to be free? Free? Don't you want to do that? But no, they're so accustomed to the prison house that that's all they know. And they have their made-up illusory identities in their prison house. And it's extremely common, sexual abuse right now in Kali Yuga. It's extremely common, human trafficking. It's extremely common, or almost the norm, Satanism in the name of so many other kind of isms. The worshiping of the god of hypocrisy. Recently, I've been posting some memes. Sometimes I kind of revert into my little bit, I don't want to say snarky, but kind of irritated teenage inner self. And I just want to, without too much polish, speak the truth. So sometimes different memes pop up on my social media, and I'm like, oh, that's very true, let me repost it. And then of course people get very upset, you bigot, you this, you that, because they're completely misunderstanding my meaning in posting it. I get very upset with innocent people being told it's okay for you to engage in homo sex. It's okay for you to identify yourself as the opposite gender that of the body that God, the supreme loving well-wisher, put you in. Your creator puts you in a specific body for a specific learning experience. And so I can't help but talk about and I don't want anybody to remain in this material world. I don't want anybody to remain in denial, and especially in the name of goodness or God. I am not one of these people that can just be like, okay, yeah, you go do whatever, go do you. Go do you. I'll do me, you do you. That's cheating. I'm sorry. That is such cheating. Because who are you? Who are you? Are you that body? Are you that conditioning? Are you what the man-eating baby killers, rapists, pedophile people tell you that you are? Is that who you are? You are not those things. And it is the duty of the leaders of society, the Brahminical class, to speak the truth. I'm not a Brahmin, but I follow a Brahmin, Srila Prabhupada, who follows Krishna. Krishna says you are the soul. You are not the body. This is how you come home. That is how you don't come home. I hear people say, oh, God doesn't judge you. He doesn't judge you. You know, there's no hell waiting for you at the end of this life. Nobody has seen God. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. If that's what you need to believe so that you can go on pretending and enjoying the people who say that have a desire to enjoy this material world. And so they need to put up their little blinders. Nobody else saw God. I didn't see God, so therefore nobody else saw God, right? Or it's okay that I do whatever I want because God isn't judging me. Well, yes and no. God always loves you just like a parent loves a child. The child is going to do so many things that are, bad for them. It doesn't mean the parent gives up their love, but it doesn't mean that there are no consequences. A parent cannot protect their child from the consequence of touching fire or stepping off a building. Just because the parent loves them and is unconditional in their love doesn't mean the consequences of those choices aren't going to act. So in the same way, when society is being told, I'm okay, you're okay, you do you, I'll do me, and we won't disagree, you can't talk about what I'm doing because I'm a good person. Sure, you're a good person. You're a spirit soul. You're the perfect person. But it's underneath those layers of covering. It's underneath what you've been told by a satanic society. And those anartas have to go for you to heal. You cannot remain engaged in sinful activity and think that you're going to be happy long term. So who wants your happiness? Somebody who actually loves you. And the person who loves you is going to tell you the truth even if you don't want to hear it. And that is why the preachers of the Lord's message are attacked all the time. Because all these people in illusion are like, no. I don't want to do that work. I don't want to look at myself. I want to stay in denial and just do our pretend game here. And all of you who pat my pretend ego are my friends. And all of you who tell me the truth, you're the haters, you're the bigots, you're the homophobes, you're the whatever society wants to call them, to try to ostracize the truth speakers. But the last leg of religion is truth in this age of Kali. So we have to speak the truth. And my purpose in speaking the truth and pointing out that the homosex agenda is evil. My purpose in pointing out the trans agenda is evil is for the benefit of those persons who have been attacked by the man-eaters and their narratives, their agendas. Because that narrative, when you buy into that narrative, then you don't fulfill the purpose of human life, which is ultimately transferring ourselves back home, back to Godhead. There are no cheaters, liars, perverse people, even horribly damaged people in the eternal realm. We have to heal. We have to look at those things that have kept us here. How did we get there in the first place? We have to look at those things and come round right, and that it takes courage. Evil is cowardly, my dear friends. Truth does not mind being challenged, but a lie cannot tolerate it. A lie cannot tolerate it. So if you look at what's happening politically around the world, that is why all of these people who are afraid of the truth are screaming, "You hurt my feelings. You're politically incorrect. You're hateful." Hate the sin, not the sinner. We don't love the sin. We don't love the sin. We do love the sinner, but we don't love the sin. And we need to point it out. It is a sin. Healing from sexual abuse often looks like having homosexual tendencies. And you know what? Srila Prabhupada didn't call it homosexual. He called it homosex. Homosex is a choice. It is not an identity. You can engage in the pushings, or you can look at the cause of the pushings and heal from them. Admit your own pain, admit what happened. Maybe you don't even know what happened. Maybe you've repressed it. But that process of digging deep, going inside and looking at, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? How do I come out on the other side? How do I follow God's way? Because God's way is my way. All of these things have to be taken into account. And yeah, well, in case anybody follows me on social media, that is where I'm coming from when I post these, protect yourselves from the rainbow trans agenda, because what they're trying to do is attack your identity, attack your ability to even heal. If you can't even admit it to yourself, most of this stuff is coming from trauma. You got to heal from it. You got to look at it. You got to be courageous enough to look at it. Okay, so there is my rant while my dog goes off. Hello, dog, barking at nothing. See, you could end up like a dog, barking at nothing, feeling so important. Here we go. So to continue, I also saw Mega Illusion Dasi there, and a part of me wanted to be violent towards her. I prayed to Krishna to help me make sense of all of this. What am I supposed to do? What is real? Where is the proof? I know I am not crazy, but what happened was. There is no denying the truth of what my body feels, and that fact that I was almost physically thrown off the session table by an angry entity of the blackest sort. Yes, so these memories, when you get to them, are often guarded by what I call gatekeepers, or subtle entities that are stored within the energy body that are forced in with the trauma. I don't know if I go into this later on. I haven't looked, but I remember saying a prayer to Shishi Gorni Tai. Sometimes there's such cognitive dissonance. You're looking at someone who you have a flashback of being in that hellish ritual scene with these murders and rapes, and then they're standing right in front of you chanting japa in front of the deities, looking all like a bona fide devotee. And the cognitive dissonance is just ripping you apart inside. So I approached the Lord, Shishi Gorni Tai, and said a prayer like, my dear Lord, I don't even know, am I crazy? Did this really happen? What's going on? Because what is a memory? How many of you, where's the proof? Where's the proof of anything in your life? Go back and prove to me what happened, that you fell off your bike when you were 5. You can't prove it. It's a memory. It's between you and the few individuals that may have been there. So I was standing in front of Shishi Gorni Tai and I said, please give me a sign. Am I crazy? Is this real? Did I actually see what I saw? So right then, any of you who know that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is directly present in his deity form, as I was saying this prayer, Lord Nityananda had a flower in his hair. And not only did it fall, as soon as I said that prayer, it fell, bounced on the stair, bounced on the altar, and landed right in front of me. And I took that as confirmation to trust myself, that this process of recall in sacred communion with Supersoul in the heart is real, and to trust that because he is directly the Supersoul of all beings. That was so much of my process, was deep, deep prayer, something would become revealed, and then externally there would be a confirmation of sorts between myself and the Lord of all that is, who can give you confirmations through different events and people and synchronicities like that. Okay, it is now 1 a.m. on the 13th, the following day. I took a long nap and took the children to the library. I cooked burritos and went to record on Bada Hari Prabhu's album for a few hours until midnight. Just what I needed. Hours of the holy name and the association of someone who has a real taste for chanting. I am going to describe briefly, just to record things before the details fade from my memory. On Wednesday, my session was significant in that Lord Nrsingadev allowed me to disconnect from the dark side. To explain, I was seeing more details around the murder of my friend, her drowning. Well, she didn't drown, she was raped and murdered and then thrown in the pool. But details. I was seeing more details around her murder and faces that came up earlier this week or last, and the fact that I was made to push her dead body into the water and told that I was the one who killed her. And if I told, I would have to tell everyone that I was the murderer. This is so typical. This is like, Satanic Ritual 101. You have the inception of the idea to do it. You rape, torture, and murder in such a way that the victim that you bring in believes that they're the bad guy. And they shove in all of their hatred of the God through making it your fault. It's your fault. And if you remember, you're one of us and you did it. Didn't you liked it, didn't you? This is just so typical of the narcissistic, demonic people that do these things. I also saw that I was being raped at the shallow end of the pool when the other adults, besides my relative, were there, and had an impression that I was being held under the water and brought up again and again for air. All of this was done to keep me from telling. I viewed this scene from a distance, clearly disassociated. On the table, I cried deeply, feeling the loss and irreversible reality of my friend's death. I'm sure that somewhere I was also grieving for being raped and violated, but somehow that was not so important. After all, I was pretty used to that by now. I just couldn't believe my friend was actually gone. She was gone for good. We did some clearing around the implanted messages that I am evil and a murderer. Maybe I will stop there. This is going to go into a whole nother part, and my battery just ran out. Any day now, I am going to get my studio up and running, and when I do, I will actually have a permanent setup where I can record more content and more videos. And if you feel like you want to donate towards that cause, I will put up a link in this video. Thank you again for your for staying with me and your love and support, and even all your criticisms. It's part of the process. Hare Krishna.